The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Mike Nutt from Inclarity. I'm Product Manager here. Welcome to one of our training webinars. We did a run of these last year, and this is the first in another series that we've just initiated and circulated the dates for. Today we're just going to spend half an hour just to talk a little bit about our reporting product, which includes a wallboard. Do a little showcase of that, and then if we've got time, maybe take a few questions at the end. Not sure how familiar you guys are with the Citrix tool that we're using, but there is an area where you can post some questions, and I'll come back and pick up on them at the end if that's the case. So if I press that button, you should be able to see my screen. I guess there's a bit of background just to go back a step. The SMT tool that we offer our resellers for day-to-day feature management, MACD activities. That's really what that's about. It's about feature management, and it doesn't give you a lot of visibility of what's happening on a day-to-day basis. We do provide CDRs at month end with your invoices, which you can use to review various activities by different users, different customers. But in terms of if anyone asks the questions, oh yeah, what was happening yesterday, or what's happening in real time, the SMT portal doesn't give you any of that information. But we do offer a bolt-on service. We partner with a Kixi software vendor. They've got an API plugin to our BroadWorks platform to procure more granular reporting information, more real-time reporting information. You'll see here it's going through a little slideshow, some of the things that it does. It is a separate portal, and we'll give out logins for people that are licensed to use this portal. In regards to the implementation, we would uplift every user that's going to generate reporting information. So if you've got an estate of 20 users, say in an office somewhere that you want to see reports on, you'll need to license all 20 of those users as a Kixi agents to generate reporting data, and then license one or more a Kixi supervisors or Kixi administrators that have access to this portal to actually go in and sample them and review that data. And that licensing, that behaviour is kind of independent of any of the telephony functions. So we just bolt this on top. It isn't necessary to license everybody on the estate. If you've got say there's 50 or 100 guys, but there's only 20, say a call center of 20 that you want to generate reporting information on, you can just license those 20. However, that does come with a caveat, a bit of a warning. This tool, this reporting tool, will treat the activity of any non-licensed users within the same enterprise, within the same telephony environment. It will treat those calls as invisible, which can have an impact on the stats that you get here. So we would recommend really licensing the whole estate if possible. It also comes in 3 flavors as well. In terms of the licensing, the cheapest actually is very cost effective. I think on the price list it's less than £1 an agent a month, which gives you historic reporting only. There's an intermediate layer for a slightly higher charge that gives you real-time reporting, and a third layer, the 2000 layer, the top layer, which includes real-time but also call center specific activity. And we would always say that if you're going to take the BroadWorks call center features from us, I'm not going to show you those now, but if you ever take the call center from us, then we always recommend taking a Kixi as well at the 2000 level to really leverage that solution to really get the maximum value out of that solution by getting all that data. So, okay, so I'm just going to log in as a sample administrator of this portal. If I click on reporting, it will take me to a dashboard. There's a similar view that anyone who logs in will get. Actually, the login access is quite flat, so there's no multi-tenanted aspect to it like there might be in SMT. is every user, what we will call it, like a KICSI partition. Every customer has their own partition, and then we just enable administrators to see that partition. There's no overview, there's no drilling down. It's pretty flat. But and for every administrator that logs in, they basically get effectively a blank dashboard, or a tool set that allows them to create the reports that they want. They can set up their own suite of reports. If a second administrator on the same partition logs in, they'll have a blank dashboard. They won't see the same reports that the other guys may have created. They get to create their own. Each login is quite distinct. And I guess as an extension of the same philosophy, some of these reports, including the wallboards that I'll show you, they might want to go up onto a big screen somewhere and to sort of share in a room. Then whatever machine that you're putting that display on, that will need its own a KICSI supervisor login to get it and show that data. My dashboard has already got a few things filled in. You'll see that on the left-hand side here, we've got a number of report templates choices here, or different reports that I've already made and saved. I can just scroll down this list, see what I'm looking for, double-click on the entry, and that'll spawn the actual display of that report. And then on the right-hand side here, I've got the display pane, the main pane. I can actually hide the left-hand side button to give me more view. Each of these tabs is a different report that I've got open, which is going to show me various data. And I can just add as many tabs as I want. I can have as many copies of the same report template as I want, different templates, different filters, different criteria, and just save them all and just click on the tab for access. There's also an option here. If I turn this cycling option on, it will actually scroll through all the different tabs that I've got on my screen, which I guess is more relevant. If you're putting it on a big screen, you want to show some of this data, it will automatically cycle through each tab that's open. Just click to stop. And if you ever don't want to see, you don't want to see these reports anymore, you can just click close, X here at the top right, and that will get rid of that tab. But it will still be available here on the left-hand side to respawn whenever you want. And if you want to create a new report from scratch, you can also click on down here on the bottom left, the green plus, and that will spawn a blank report for you to fill in and complete all the relevant criteria for you to OK and save into your list of tabs. So one of the first things that it'll ask you to do is to choose the style of your report. I actually prefer to call this template as it's slightly more meaningful. Each of these styles is a different report template where it's collating different columns of data, different KPIs, doing different calculations, and will display the data slightly differently. Each template is fairly self-explanatory. I will go through each one in a moment. We've also got in the guide that we circulate, the PDF guide, it also talks about what each one does, what its application is. The number of choices that you'll see here will be dependent on the license level that you've taken at KICSI at. If you've only taken the light level, then you'll only see a small number of entries for the historic report types only. As a 1,000 user, you'll see a few more options, and as a 2,000 user, you'll see the maximum range of options. But after choosing your style, by default it will name the report the same as the style, as the template. But certainly if this is the second copy you're making using the same template, I would change the name to be something else, so you don't write over your original. It will then ask you to confirm the search period that you're interested in. For historic reports only, you won't have the real-time option, but for 1,000, 2,000, you will be able to select real-time if it's applicable. But you've got today, yesterday, last 24 hours, 48 hours, and so on, or specify a specific range, and you can actually go in and just choose exactly when to and from the period that you're interested in. After that, you'll go on to filter the reports, the rest of the reports. Any just means it's just going to capture all the data, show you all the data that's relevant, but you can apply different filters. For example, if you're interested in seeing any calls related to or from a particular telephone number, you can enter that telephone number here, and it will only pull the associated records. Alternatively, you may only want to review the activity of certain Inclarity telephony users, you can just select their extensions, so they're the only ones that are pulled in the reports. You can also choose the direction of the calls that you're interested in, so for example inbound or outbound only, or the answer type, whether they were answered or abandoned, and so on. And there's lots of various other filters that can be used to really dig into your data. Here we've got some more here to do with how the calls are moved around, end reason, or what was the exact termination cause. So for example, if you just only wanted to know what calls went to voicemail, you could do that as an option. It's quite powerful in terms of the different questions that you can ask. And then on the Fields tab, you'll go through to choose what data you want to display in your reports. Depending on what style or template you've chosen, you'll get a different set of fields already pre-selected. But you can, if you don't need to see some of these things, you can just click and remove them out, or potentially go in and add other criteria in. There are different selections that are available. Again, these selections will vary depending on what licensing level you have, but there are you can see there's a few other things that you can bring in into your report. And then once you've said all of this criteria, you can OK that. That'll go into your list. One other thing you can do as well is schedule your reports. You're not necessarily forced to use this web portal on a day-to-day basis. Once you've created your reports, you can say, well, just email it to me, say daily. Choose when it's going to run, which days of the week, what time during the day, what formats. CSV is probably going to be the most useful formats, and you'll get all that data in your inbox at the time you specified. And it will just run away in the background. So you could have different tabs, different templates, different filters, different scheduling criteria. It gives you full control. It's really a bit of a sandbox for to really to ask what questions you want, generate whatever data you might want, which I guess can be a little baffling to a new user or first-time user, but it is quite easy to use. And if you're not sure what templates required or what filters might be required, I mean that's what our CS team are here for, to help field questions like that. They're all pretty familiar with this product. So just to talk about each style template in a bit more detail, I've got these tabs here, and this is what I usually use for demo purposes, and there's one tab of each type of report showing here. This first one is the historic CTR list, just a granular list of all calls that are applicable to the filters that I've selected. Just going back in time through the period that I specified. In fact, this isn't all my calls, so you can see the little green tick means these are all answered calls. If I go and look at the filter criteria for this one, as an example, I can see I'm asked to see only inbound calls and only answered calls, which is why it's shown in that way. But I could decide actually, well, maybe I'm only interested in looking for my inbound abandoned calls. I can update my template. Okay, and that will immediately update that in real time to show the new data that I've asked for. These aren't billing CDRs. You'll see there's no cost attached. This is just telephony activity, but it does give you a bit more information about where it says device called. That's the number that was originally targeted by the call, and the device that was offered, which is the extension that actually received the call. That can be useful, particularly where hunt groups are deployed. Like here you can see this information is not the same. So although this number was wrong, it was forwarded on or hunted on to these users, so you can work out what happened. So as a historic reports, you've got the CDR reports. They also do some daily summaries. So here I've got for a wider period, every day it's summarized some activity, and I can go wider. Over a wider period, I can get weekly summaries, monthly summaries, and this one's quite interesting. This calls by half-hour interval. So for a wider period of several days in a row, it's summed all the activity within the same half-hour window each day together. So from midnight to half past midnight for each of those days, this is the total activity, and then so on, all the way down throughout the course of the day. So you can get quite a quick snapshot of what's my say I'm doing this for a week or a month. What's my busiest time of the day? When am I peaked? When's my business peaked? When do I need the most resource? I can get quite a quick view of that very quickly. Okay, so the 1,000 level. So for a slightly higher price per agent and per supervisor, you can have real-time data, and that means that you can paste a wallboard like this, showing you what's happening in real time. The logic for this is just the same as everything else. If I go back in to modify it, I've got the same questions about okay, so I'm monitoring real time. What are my filters? What am I looking at? So there I'm actually monitoring only a few devices. So I can, let's say, make that any again. Let me do that. There we go. And on the same questions, fields. So rather than just being a column in a table that I'm seeing, each of these fields are one of the panels, and in each case, I can decide: is it a gauge? Is it just text? What sort of gauge is it? What is the colours? What are the colours for the background and for the text? Should it alarm? Should it start flashing? And if it should start flashing, I've got some Boolean rules here to decide the criteria when it should start flashing. Yeah, I've got full control of that. And yeah, so after choosing, I should just revert that. After making your changes, it will just update accordingly. This isn't the only real-time view it can offer, though. There's actually a number of different styles or templates that show you different types of real-time data. For example, this one, the active call list, is just showing you all of your active calls right now. So here, for this partition, we've got 4 calls in session. Well, 2 that are alerting. Well, that's given up. 1 that's still alerting, ringing, waiting for an answer, and 2 that are in session. This guy's calling back again. There we go. And this will just keep updating in real time with whatever's happening. Or I can have a look at my users and what they're up to. So all of these lines in white, there's no activity, but we've got a call in session here. We've got some ringing calls happening here. This goes on Do Not Disturb. And I can go down through the list and see what they're all doing. And obviously I can use my filters. If I don't need to see everybody, I can use the filters of the report just to capture only the extensions that I really want to watch. I can control that. And this last one here, on return loss calls, is quite an interesting one. Let me just sort it this way. It's kept track of all the inbound abandoned calls that have been made today so far, and how many have had a call back. It's been tracking the call returns to the same numbers. All these green lines have had calls back, and it's made a note of what time that happened. But all these red lines are inbound abandoned calls that have yet to receive a call back. Which is got a lot of value for any customer, any call center where the inbound is important. If you're expecting to capture orders or leads from your inbound inquiries, you don't want to let any of these go. Just put it on a big screen, point at it until it's dealt with, or you schedule it to run at the end of every day and give out all the red lines as call actions for the next day. But yeah, it's very useful. Report template. And the last level, the top licensing level, the 2000 level, as I said, it includes real-time and also call center specific information. So here we're seeing the same wallboard type with the same fields and the same ability to control the color and alarms and so on, but we're now getting fields which are call center specific. So I've got 13 signed-in agents signed in to my call center right now. We've got nobody in a not available state. We've got 10 in an available state. The other 3, one's ringing, the other 2 are on the phone, and then I've got all my other stats underneath. And again, I can go in just like before can control what are my filters, do I need any filters, what are my fields, how many panes do I need to see. I can take some of these out if I want, so I've got control of that. And beyond that, I can get a similar view of all my agents. So at the 1000 level, I got an extension view. At the 2000 level, I can get a call center agent view, which is kind of similar, but it's reporting the current call center states for each of these agents. And yeah, so these guys are busy. These guys are ringing. These guys are saying they're available. They're signed in and waiting for their next call. These guys are signed out. They're not available at the moment. And the good thing about this tool, Ikixi, is because of all the API links with the BroadSoft, it's not just about reporting when you're using the portal. It does include some call control elements as well. Where I'm seeing these availabilities, these sign-outs, I can actually click and perform some activities as a supervisor from here. So these guys should be signed in. If you signed in, if you're not signed in and he needs to be signed in, I can click sign in to make that happen. If these guys shouldn't be signed in, I can sign them out, or I can change their call center state to a different state. Yeah, where this ringing calls are being picked up, I can actually pick up this call and have it redirected to my extension as a supervisor. I can control that. And these busy calls, I can potentially steal those from that user, or I can forced intrude. If I'm also a Broadbox call center supervisor and that's been set up right, I can actually trigger the feature access code for call barge on the Broadworks side to make that happen. I should say that the silent monitor activity doesn't trigger because that's not quite lined up, and we're recommending using our Redbox recording tool to do the silent monitoring. Similarly, the record button doesn't actually trigger a recording because actually if you are using recording, it's always on from our Redbox instead, and that's where you would go to check those recordings. A register callback is not an active function either, but the forced intrude is a call barge that will work if that's lined up right. And actually, the call control is not just at the call center level. I can go back to my activity, my extension list is a 1000 user, and I get a similar call controls there. So again, I can pick up a ringing call or steal a call that's in progress, but obviously I can't trigger these call center actions because these aren't call center users. Just going back to the call center stuff, we also have a couple of activity logs that we can run. These are like CDRs for call center specific activities. So every time an agent changed their status, every time they logged in, signed out, said they were unavailable, then we can generate these lists of activities of everything that happens. So you can get, as a supervisor, you can review in a lot of detail. What, especially if you filter by extension, you can see exactly what if people are actually working to the shift patterns they say they are, not taking too many breaks, not ducking their calls. And at the 2000 level as well, there's some extra templates relating to distribution groups. So hunt groups, call center groups, or reception groups. There's some useful summaries of activity by group you can get here as well. Okay, so those are the different styles or different templates that are available for creating reports. It's pretty comprehensive. As I say, what you'll get as a new supervisor really is a blank slate to create your own. If you spawn a new template, it will come with no filters and full fields, and then it'll be up to you to tailor each report to generate whatever it is that you might need. So it's one of the things that we like talking about. It certainly adds a lot of value, but it also forces you to think a lot about what questions you want to ask. And it can have some quite lateral applications as well. We have a recurring thing that we see with our support team is reports that calls are being lost or they aren't being delivered where they're supposed to be delivered. Actually, we can use a KIXI to have a real look at exactly what's happening. And quite often we've found those calls aren't being lost. They're actually, because of the way that the customer's call configuration has been done, it's simply rung out in one location and has been advanced to go on to other places. So from home group 1 it's gone to home group 2 or onto voicemail somewhere else, and we can use this. It's a useful tool to visually see exactly where all the calls have gone. But yeah, it does depend on the questions that you ask. I mean, when you say I'm not getting my calls or I'm losing my calls, or when we talk about abandoned calls are strictly calls that whether the caller has hung up before there's been any opportunity for the caller for the remote side to respond. So. And that's the only criteria apply. If you use a KIXI to look for abandoned calls, it's only those types of calls that's going to fall. Calls that have been advanced to a forwarding number or have been advanced to voicemail, they are not considered abandoned. So you need to adjust your reports filtering slightly to consider those types of questions. Okay, so we're pretty much up to the end of the half hour. So that's pretty much as much as I wanted to say about the tool today. If anybody doesn't have any questions, as I say, you can use the, if you post them into the GoToWebinar window, I can answer a few now before we close. Okay, so I've got a question which is, can you save a report and share that amongst different supervisors? Actually, no, that's not that easy to do in terms of, there's no copy and paste between supervisors, but it's not hard to replicate the filter criteria. Actually, it's a question I've been asked before that I need to pick up with a vendor, but see whether there is a way there. But at the moment, yeah, you would just make a note of your filter criteria and copy that to the second login. Okay. I've got one more question. How would I copy a report? Well, for a supervisor within the same session, so let's say, for example, I've got this report here and I want to play with any variation of it. I can simply open it up and rename it something else. Will it take a copy of it? No, that's yeah. Each instance, well, yeah. So renaming will just carry that instance forwards. Yeah. So you'll need to start a new one with the green plus and copy your criteria over. Okay, so I think that was, we only had those couple of questions. We've hit our half hour, so I think we'll call it to a close there. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I hope that was useful. We have been recording this and we'll make it available for it to be replayed after the fact. And yeah, there'll be more of these in the next 1 and 2 weeks. We'll hope to see you there. So have a good afternoon.